I'm sorry, what? Ah, sure. Yeah. Do my combina while we sort of get the room ready for everybody to come upstairs and interrupt whatever we're gonna do.
Yeah.
to turn to 36 in the Siddur, in the prayer book. You hopefully were handed by someone on your way in. If you are lacking a Siddur, if you are lacking a book, put your hand in the air and we'll get you one. Great. Okay, this is a perfect song. This is often done like at the Shabbat dinner table. Shalom Aleichem, it means welcome angels. But I have a feeling that in the next 10 minutes, people will be walking into the room and they'll experience that awkward feeling of everyone's looking at me, you know, and like we've all been there. And it's nice when you smile, like when we smile, so that they know we're not like thinking that they have something on their face, God forbid, you know, or like that whatever their worst fears are, you know, oh, they're looking at me and judging me because I'm late. No, we're not. We just feel bad for you because there are no chairs. So smile, and if it's possible, yes, you've already moved over, that's great. And if it's, I'm feeling like if it's possible to move over more because people are going to come in, so that we can like just make it as easy as possible for people to find a spot and not have to climb over all of you. And I'm sorry if you had your good sight line before and now it's like 7 inches off. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And thank you, Anna and Will, for finding the chairs to help people feel at home. All right. Amazing. And we'll just smile and roll with it. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Tzedchem l'shalom, Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, wet, soggy Shabbat Shalom to you. I want to invite you to sit up a little straighter in your seat. Put your feet on the floor if that's comfortable, and allow your head to feel as if it's being pulled toward the ceiling and then toward the sky, but simultaneously your shoulders are kind of pulling away from your earlobes, so they're relaxing down your back, and just to take a few easy breaths. And if what I just described sounds not physically possible for you, then just take a few easy breaths. Hey everybody, good Shabbos. Welcome to the Mishkan office space. We were thinking it would be fun to be out at North Center Town Square where there's a lot more room, but it's wet and gross. And so we're here, which is actually, I will say, surprisingly cozy and comforting. I feel like this is how they did it back in the old country. You know, they just like packed into a little shtibel and made some holy noise together.
How we did it back in the old days.
In the old days too. So if we're doing a hello. By the way, there are kids her age playing in yonder. Yeah, they are mine. Thank you, Taryn, for the reminder that the name Mishkan comes from the idea in the Torah that is this traveling holy space. That's described throughout the book of Exodus and Leviticus, which we're finishing today, this traveling holy space that people create wherever they are, and wherever they are, that is where God's presence comes down and dwells. And so we thought, well, that's perfect for a community that doesn't have a building. And we were doing Shabbat services in living rooms and in art studios and in all kinds of places that, not typically locations for Jewish Shabbat services. Also synagogues sometimes, but also Unitarian churches. The tradition lives on, though now we do have our own space, and you are in it. This is the Mishkan office. We don't tend to do services here Saturday mornings, actually, when it's maybe a smaller crowd. We will be doing a bunch of Saturday mornings over the coming year here, but this is where the work gets done during the week. So welcome to where the work gets done during the week. Also in the room next door, and in the room you were in downstairs, and in 2 rooms up on the 4th floor, we have spaces for kids and for what's called the Mensch Academy, which is our kids' religious school program. And so on the afternoons of Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, every day throughout the school year, and also Sunday mornings, we have 130 kids running around this place during the week. So welcome to you. Can I ask who's here for the first time tonight? Yay! Yeah! It's really wonderful, very wonderful to have you. And second time, amazing. Well, great. And now you're here. All right. So I'll just speak for myself. The combination of the location change and figuring out anxiety, I'll just be honest, is this enough space for us? And I think I'm beginning to come down from that now, and I think we're gonna be okay. But I'm still feeling the need to exhale, maybe multiple times, maybe you do too. So as we sing our way through Kabbalat Shabbat, which starts on page 2, I hope you give yourself permission to exhale. Notice where in your body you're holding tension and stress residual from the week. It is still light out on Friday after all. So we're really just bringing in Shabbat by force of will. But hopefully as the sun begins to set later, you will have made yourself ready for it. So we're on page 2. And I will say for everybody who's here for the first or second time, or maybe even the 10th time, this is a community that is neither Reformed nor conservative, not Orthodox nor humanistic. We don't have a particular label that describes Mishkan or a movement. We have rabbis that have been ordained from multiple seminaries. We use liturgy that is culled from, different traditions, and therefore songs and music that are also influenced by all of those traditions and more. And so what that means is there might be a lot that you haven't heard before. And so what we always say is, if you know the music and the words, sing. And if you don't know the music and the words, sing louder. That's what the words are there on the page for in Hebrew in transliteration. And, you know, we have microphones over here, the davening team, myself, Rabbi Stephen, Rachel, Benji, Talias, but you don't have a microphone, so really nobody's going to hear you. So with that invitation, we start on page 2. Welcome, Doug, Michael, all your people. And I hope you find a spot. I know they're going to figure it out for you.
Adonai, kavod
We're going to turn to page 6, middle of the page, and stay standing. Moshe ve'Aharon ve'Chohanan u'Shmuel bekorei Shemot korim Adonai ve'hu ya'aneh ve'amud anav yedaber aleichem shomru edotav v'chok natan lamo Adonai Eloheinu ata agitam el nosei hayita lahem v'nokem al alilotam romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishtachavu lehar kodshon ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. We're on 7. Sometimes I feel like our services, they have a quality of like a restorative yoga class, and then sometimes it's like a high intensity spin workout or something. I feel like that's what it's been so far. But you can take a seat. And I'll say welcome again, because the last time I said welcome, there were like 50 fewer people here. And I feel like, what's up? Anna, would you feel comfortable? I mean, if everybody's comfortable where they are, great. I also want to say people could sit on the back ledge there.
Definitely, we can get a path back there.
If anybody wants to like,
straight through here.
yeah, if anybody wants to like come in here and sit on the back ledge, I would not sit on the IKEA bookshelves, bad idea, but like on the concrete ledge, I think we feel okay about.
Yeah, anybody?
So,
Anybody?
just putting it out there. Yeah, if anybody is vacating seats, and
Yeah.
I mean, then great. Then we've got a couple seats.
Yeah.
We're happy about. Love it. Thank you. Yes.
Look at that. Look at
Oh
that.
my God, the Intrepid. Yes. Yes. All right, we got a couple more seats here.
Thank you,
Yay.
folks.
Thank you. All right, we have a few more if people want to come in. You're welcome to. And if somebody back there wants to try to open a window, great, but also don't hurt yourself. All right. Great. I feel like a lot of things tonight aren't going the way that I expected. I wasn't expecting to take off the shirt that I wore as my primary shirt. But I'm going to put my tallis on. So... Shabbat Shalom. All right. Okay. Can I talk about Torah with a straight face? Okay, I'll start with sabbatical. So a couple months ago, some members of our staff started having a conversation about creating a sabbatical policy. We're a nonprofit organization. We've existed for like 12, going on 13 years. Some of us have been here that whole time. You were here, you were here from the beginning and then took a little hiatus. But, a few of us on staff have actually, been working at Mishkan for a decade or longer. And there is this notion of a sabbatical, that every 7 years or so, it is healthy, it is good to take a break from the thing that you do all day, every day, professionally, and do something else with your time. And ideally, come back to the thing that you were doing before, refreshed, renewed, with new perspective. And there's debate in the nonprofit world. I know nothing about the corporate world, but in the nonprofit world, there's actually debate about whether you put guardrails around the sabbatical, right? Do you let people go and, do whatever they want, discover, new parts of themselves, but require them to come back? Because otherwise it would be taking advantage of your generosity as an organization, that you're fundraising for their salary to go off and do that. Like, they have to come back. They can't not come back. They can't decide at the end of the 3 months that they're done working there. Or actually, maybe if at the end of 3 months they realize that they've put in a lot of good time here and that they, have other fields to go explore or things to do, God bless. And actually, like, after 7 years of serving this organization, that's what happens sometimes. And actually, it's good for everybody if, we give people the permission to realize that it's time to, sow new seeds. This ideal of the sabbatical, it is an ideal, but it comes from this week's Torah portion. Like, that idea of a sabbatical is born in this week's Torah portion. And, you've heard of the idea of a Sabbath. Every 7 days we need to rest and restore, and that's good for our hearts, good for our minds, good for the world. The idea of the weekend was born also in the Torah with the idea of a Sabbath. But the sabbatical is like rest for the land. If Shabbat is rest for human beings, for us every 7 days, the sabbatical year actually began first as a combination of rest for the land, so that, the land could restore, regenerate, I don't think they could have imagined the kind of like single crop agriculture that happens in the United States now. But in any case, they knew that agriculturally it was healthy for the land to lay fallow for a year. So what did that mean for the farmers whose job was to farm the land? They had to find something else to do that year. They had to explore new parts of themselves. And it wasn't that the trees and the produce of the field didn't get eaten. It did. So instead of the poor, who would have to wait ordinarily, the other 6 years for charity, for gleaning what was left at the corners, now these people actually get to take whatever they need because the land doesn't belong to the farmer. It belongs to God. And everybody recognizes that, and everybody in society together sort of recognizes, like, this is what we owe to each other. It's a beautiful concept, and then it even gets taken to the next level every 49 years, like the sabbatical of the sabbatical years, 7 years times 7 after 49 years. It happens on an even bigger scale with the relinquishing of debts and people being restored to their ancestral homes, and it's a whole ideal that we don't know if that ever even really happened, but it kind of paints a picture. When we, as a staff, were having this conversation, what we did was we asked, gave everybody a piece of paper and said, what would you do with your sabbatical? So I now put that to you. You can take a moment to think. It helps you to close your eyes and actually take a deep breath in and wonder out loud, if you were earning a salary to not do your job, to do something else for, let's say 2 months. Don't even give it a whole year. 2 months, maybe 3 months. What would you want to do with your time? Like, in your mind's eye, what do you see yourself doing or exploring? Is there anybody who's just having a really hard time even thinking about it, like breaking out of, that's very hard to, okay. So what I want to suggest is you don't have to wait every 7 years. Shabbat, this ideal of the once a week, kind of coming back to something much more manageable and much more tangible, ideally, maybe, could be a place to put that dream in some more modified, more, bite-sized way. But the idea of a sabbatical means letting go, right? It means letting go of an identity that you might have that's built around what you do for a living. Think about that farmer the first time they do a sabbatical. Like, what on earth am I supposed to do with my time? All I know how to do is this one thing. Or I've been doing this one thing for so long, I don't know how to do anything else. And so the idea is it kind of trains us to be flexible in the way that we think about ourselves. Like kids who haven't yet developed an identity around a profession, but who are open, who explore, and who are in beginner's mind. Like, what would it take to be in beginner's mind? Like, what would you have to let go of to get back to a place where you could see the world through fresh eyes and see yourself through fresh eyes? So we're at the bottom of 7. There's this Kabbalistic poem, Ana Bekoach. Use your power to release what is all bound up. Accept our beauty. Purify us. It's this beautiful request that God help us let go a little bit and use God's power and strength to help us stop holding on so tight. So. Ana bekoach gedulat yemincha tatirtze rura kaberi natamecha sagvenu tareinu nora.
Anna בכוח גדולה ימינך תרצה ברורה קבל רינת עמך סגבנו תרנו נורא sing הגיבור גיבור דושה ידוחה דושה יבורך כבבת שומרי
We sing Nagi Born. Page 8. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekavela lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat shamor bezachor v'divorecha ishmiyanu el hamilchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'lethilah lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat likrat Shabbat lehu v'necha hihi mekor habracha merosh miketef nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava tefila lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat לקבלה מקדש מלך עיר מלכה ומצעיר מתוך עמך רב לשבת בעמק הבכה והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת. We're gonna turn to 9. Switch up the tune too. Hi, 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 hi. אני עמי ונבנתה, קראתי לה לך דודי, לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, והיו למשיסה שוסייך ורחקו, כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהי, כמסוס חתן, החתן לך דודי, לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, ימין ושמאל תברוצי, ואת אדונה תריצי, על ידי שבין פרצי, ואני שמחה ונגילה לך דודי. We're gonna stand and we face the door we walked in. Pnei Shabbat nekabela, and we welcome in peace a little bit of that bite-sized sabbatical. With it, the rest, restoration, imagination, possibility, but even just a little bit of spaciousness inside your heart. So we welcome it in peace. And as we sing this verse, we actually bow in the direction of the door to welcome in the Shabbos bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha uv'tzohala, toch emunei am segula. Boi lecha dodi, לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, איי 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 invite you to turn to somebody nearby and just say, like, I am happy to see you tonight. And if you came with them, great, but then turn to a different direction and say, I'm happy to see you tonight. I'm happy to see you tonight. I'm happy to see you tonight. Happy to see you tonight. See you and you and you.
And when I mentioned the old days, I like the old days. So it's the old days as in old times. I'm gonna be the Jewish foreigner.
Wow. All right.
Is it going to be a problem?
All right. Amazing. Amazing. Wow.
This is the voice of God.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's okay. All the people at the Mishkan office say, way, oh, way, oh. Sorry. I don't know where that came from. That's amazing. I literally said, say like a sentence to your neighbor, and you can't stop the Jews from schmoozing. I wanted to invite people who are here for the first time to introduce yourselves, because it allows those of us who maybe have been here even at least once before to say welcome to you, and and then to we can talk more after services, but it allows us to welcome you properly. So if you are here for the first time, please stand and let us know who you are and what brought you. Yeah. Amazing. And I recognize that tonight we actually did a thing to encourage people to come as first timers. We had like a whole happy hour downstairs, and so this might be like a minute or two longer than the usual, but it's so nice. It is so nice to get to hear everybody's story, like a sentence, like your name and maybe what neighborhood you hail from, and like how you heard about being here tonight. Let's start here. Sorry.
Yes, thank you. My name is Robin Mineski. I came with my friend Leah. I've been wanting to experience the services
Great.
from you guys for a long time. I used to do Tai Chi next door, so this is very near and dear to my heart.
Love it. So there's lots of good chi around here. Amazing. Nice to meet you, Robin. Yes. Yeah.
My name is Stuart, and I'm not quite sure if it's my first time or not. I was at something at a different location. Am I with you guys? It's awfully good looking people.
It was definitely us then. Yeah. Or at least it was Stephen. Yeah. Great. Well, welcome, Stuart. Welcome back. Great. Welcome back.
Hi, I'm Elka, and I'm from Andersonville, and I do Yachad, and I love the Jewish songs, the Vizmer Shama.
Yay. Love it. Thanks, Elka.
I'm Phil, and a friend of mine told us about it, and here I am.
Yay.
I'm Aviva. Same, I'm from Andersonville. We've heard so many wonderful things about Mishkan, and it's our first time.
Hey, well, welcome, the whole Andersonville crew. If and when you get involved, you'll see Mishkanites all over. We've infiltrated Andersonville.
I'm Hannah. I'm currently in the Avodah service course, so I heard about
Yeah. Okay, raise your hand if you did the Avodah service course. At least one in the back. Yeah. Oh, nice.
So yeah, I heard about Mishkan through that. I live in the area, and yeah, I'm very excited to be here.
Love it. Welcome.
I'm Isaac. I'm originally from Atlanta and recently moved to Chicago with my fiance Jenny to West Town. We've been watching YouTube and figured it was time to come.
Yes. All right. Well, welcome, Jenny and Isaac.
Thank you.
And welcome to Chicago, believably.
We're Emma and Sam, and we're from Printers Row, South Loop, Brooklyn. And I've been on the newsletter for a while after some documentaries and lurking on social media, and specifically your Instagram reel, calling me out as a worker on the social.
Not you personally.
Royal me, yes.
Yes, that's so funny. That's great. Love it. Love it. There are like, I don't know, maybe close to 8,000 people on our email list, and we don't see nearly 8,000 people all year. So I sort of figured some of them just don't open it, but some of them open it and are lurking in the shadows. And so I'm glad that you stepped out of the shadows and made it here tonight. Yay. Great.
Hi, I'm Lisa Menard. I live in River North, and I heard this was the singing congregation.
I don't know why you heard that. Weird. Cool. Well,
I'm excited to be here.
Love it. Love it. Miss anybody back there? Yeah.
I'm Julia. I'm also part of the Andersonville gang. I have been doing the services since almost 10 years.
love it, love it. All right, you we know, but it's nice to see you. You're sitting. Great. Okay. All right. Kiki, whose dad is the best? Well, welcome. It's really nice to meet you after a long time. All right, and that's all. So just, I have to be careful about this tall. Well, this is, it's so funny to say, well, this is our community. I mean, but it kind of is. I feel like you're getting a good sense of both the irreverence and kind of fly by the seat of our pants, but also the extreme organization it took to pull off a service that's being filmed, that will later get turned into a podcast and shared with anybody who, wanted to connect online. And we have 15 full-time staff people who work here in a religious school. And so I know this sort of feels like, what is this even? But I hope it feels like that in a good way. So just to say a couple things that are actually happening in the community over the course of the next couple of, actually just the next week or two. If you are digging this and want more, first of all, for those of you who are singers who came to sing, the davening team has a few spots open for this year's team. This circle of people is culled from what is called the davening team, and it's a group of 16 or so people who rotate in and out on Saturday and Friday nights and do high holidays. And it's a major time commitment, and it is a volunteer gig. But if you love to sing, it might be up your alley. We're doing an open call next Sunday afternoon. And so in any case, it'll just be another opportunity to come and sing. But we'll also be building a newly constituted 5784 team. And if you're curious about that, talk to Rachel Jimenez, who is the person to talk to about that. And just to say, if you are here, considering a community, not just to come to services, but to invest in and get to know people and come back. I'm sorry. We're having a new builder orientation next Tuesday night. And it's virtual, and builders are what we call members, and about quarterly, we do a new builder orientation, and it's an opportunity to meet other people and to get to know kind of the history of the community and our values and ways to get involved. And so now is actually a wonderful time if you're sort of on the fence and wondering, no time like the present. And there's a new builder orientation next week. Stephen, do you want to say anything about Picnic, Parsha, and Power?
Yeah, that's next Wednesday, right?
Yeah, it's next Wednesday.
Okay. Look, I wake up every day and look at my calendar and discover what I'm doing that day. So yes. Next Wednesday we'll be gathering in Wells Park, I believe, with our local action team, where we'll be talking about kind of what are next steps now that we have a new mayor coming into office this Monday.
Yes.
Which means that some of the work is done, but there's a lot more work to do. So yes, if you're interested in getting involved in social justice at Mishkan, you'll find more info online. Mm-hmm. There'll be pizza.
Nice. And then the holiday of Shavuot is coming up. As we count the Omer later tonight, where last night was 36 days toward the 50th day. We celebrate Shavuot, the holiday commemorating the receiving of Torah. And traditionally, people celebrate it by staying up all night and studying Torah. And Mishkan always participates in the Lakeview-wide thingy that happens at Anshe Emet. And so starting at 10 p.m. On Erev Shavuot, which is, was it Thursday night? Thursday night. It's a week from Thursday already? My God. There'll be a panel with some rabbis, including me, and then there'll be classes all night. To study Torah, it's a very cool tradition. And if you've never done it before, or if you have, it's a trip. And I think unless the weather is inclement, usually finish by davening out on the lakefront at sunrise. I will not be there for that. I will be sleeping. But you can be. And so, Stephen, you're doing a virtual talk of what if I wish I knew before converting to Judaism. So that is something that may be of interest to people. Wednesday night, the 31st of May. Oh, that sounds like a kid who could be mine. Not going to investigate. And then finally, over the past couple of weeks, you may have been hearing me speak about a particular group that I feel a strong connection to, and the group is called the Bereaved Parents Circle, or the Parents Circle Family Forum, and it is a group of Israeli and Palestinian family members of people who have died in the conflict in one way or another, and they come together to speak with one voice, and instead of sort of retreating to, separate corners of anger, coming together to actually speak across the divide and build empathy and compassion, and a sense of each other's humanity. And so they're actually coming to Chicago. Members of the Parent Circle Forum are coming to Chicago, and we're co-sponsoring an interfaith event where you can hear two mothers speak. And so that's happening at Fourth Presbyterian Church on Tuesday, May 30th. And for all of this, more information is online. That's definitely my child. And yeah, if you're not already on our email list, there's a little QR code you can, scan with your phone and get on our list. And this is how you find out about what's going on. And I think, unless anybody, I'm sorry? Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Again, for the singers, that's probably where you thought I was going. Next Thursday night, May 18th, we're going to do this, except there'll be 200 people, and it'll be at Wilson Abbey, and the leader will be much more talented than I am, actually. Joey Weissenberg, who actually has written a lot of the tunes that we're singing tonight, but he's sort of like a genius of Jewish music, very inspired by jazz and American music and blues, but sort of puts that in the service of Jewish spirituality. It'll be beautiful, it'll be meaningful. So if you don't already have a ticket, if you weren't planning on coming, I invite you now and suggest it strongly. It'll be a good night. All right. Thank you. Shall we stand and go into Mariv? Let's do it. We're on page 13. Do you want to lead sort of like a quick and dirty Mariv, and then we'll all pick up?
Sure. Why not? Where's east?
East is toward the cool psychedelic art.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch hamevorach leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You may be seated. Umavir yom vin laila, umavdil ben yom vin laila, Adonai tzvot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai, hamariv aravim, ahavat olam beit Yisrael chavta. הם חיינו ואורך ימינו והם נגעומם בלילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. We cover our eyes and take one intentional breath for each word of the Shema. Shema. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושינתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, וילדו תותפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. Just work our way through the next few pages. למען יבוא ימיכם ונמכם, ויאמר נפשי למען. Adonai Elohim Emet. We're on page 18. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו להם משה ומרים בני ישראל לך אנושרה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדע בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אליהם מלכותך ראו בניך בוקעים לפני משה זה אלי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה ענה יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
Take a moment now to send healing prayers and blessings to anyone who may need them. Anybody who may need them just because, like every day they need them. It's nothing special is happening right now. Or maybe somebody you know just had an emergency gallbladder surgery. Like 3 people I know who might be listening tonight, sending you all refuah shlema. Or maybe you know somebody who is in need of just some attention, some TLC. Maybe somebody who's trying to conceive. Maybe somebody who's pregnant. Just needs a prayer. Not for any special reason. Just that everything happens b'sha'a tova, in its right time. In the right way. The way it's supposed to. We're on 19. Sending healing prayers to everybody who is on your heart. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'ha'amideinu shomrei
Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
We're on 20. V'sharon
v'rachirutei v'yamlich bachutei b'chayachonu v'yamechon v'chayetecho beit Yisrael b'galam b'zman kariv v'imru Amen Yehi Shmer v'mevorach le'olam u'le'al maya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shmei t'kudsha Le'olam im kol berachata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechmata damiran be'alma v'imru Amen.
The personal Amidah is said to yourself in the evening. It starts on 21, and the custom is to take 3 steps backwards and 3 steps forwards facing east. And you can use the words in the book. It goes from 21 until 29, where you can close the book and just have a few quiet moments in this space with so many people, all with our own prayers. If you're done standing, you can take a seat.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbos.
So yesterday, Rabbi Lizzie and I had the opportunity to attend an interfaith breakfast for Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson. Yeah, we did. Company was great. Food was okay. It was mostly just I was a little sour because the coffee never made it to my table. So I was watching it circle the room, and I'm like, just like willing it in my direction. But I was too tired to really exert my will because I had no coffee. So the event brought together faith leaders from across the city to connect and to celebrate and to set the stage for collaboration with the new administration and each other. And I was sat between a Lutheran minister on one side and an African Methodist Episcopal radio host on the other, at a table that had a Presbyterian pastor and a Catholic priest and a Reformed rabbi and 2 church leaders of an evangelical mission with locations like in various places across the South and West Side. And it was an amazing moment of seeing the breadth of faith traditions in Chicago, and also recognizing in that same moment as one of the few white and Jewish and queer people in the room that the Chicago that we usually see is only a slice of the pie, or I guess the deep dish pizza, as it were. That was a good one. I like that one. Thank you. So between prayers offered by different faith leaders for his future success, Johnson outlined his vision for the city, highlighting the potential he saw in Chicago, both for the well-being of its residents and as a model for creating a more just and more equitable society for all of America. And Johnson concluded, and I quote, "No one should be so poor that they cannot live in one of the richest cities, in the richest country, in the richest moment in human history. This is a statement that both, right, that's deserving of, yeah, thank you. Not my words, his, but true nonetheless. This is a statement that both speaks to the American dream and, as some of the other speakers that morning noted, is a teaching and a challenge found in every faith tradition. The Reverend Dr. Marilyn Pagan Banks, the leader of San Lucas United Church of Christ and the executive director of A Just Harvest, probably said it best that morning. The health of a society should always be judged on how we treat our most vulnerable, our most disadvantaged. The Torah recognizes that an economic system that allows for the individual accrual of wealth, lacking course correction, has the potential to create both prosperity and poverty. The Torah also says that the tolerance of the latter, the tolerance of poverty, is anathema to our tradition. The vision of a just society outlined in our sacred texts demands the eradication of poverty through the creation of welfare systems designed to equip the poor with sustainable means of improving their lives. This week, we read in the final chapters of the book of Leviticus, if your kin, being in dire straits, comes under your largesse, even if one is tempted to consider them like a stranger, someone who you do not have the responsibility to care for, let them live with you. Provide them resources with no interest. Return property that was taken from them. Ensure they are fed and sheltered. This welfare system proposed by the Torah over 2,500 years ago is profoundly and perhaps frustratingly self-evident. To ensure that those facing poverty have the ability to meet their basic needs and share in the riches of society is a task that, as Johnson noted in his speech, we have consistently failed to accomplish. In our city alone, over 65,000 people are currently struggling with homelessness. Over 1/4 of renters in the city pay over half of their paycheck just to make rent. And on any given winter night, at least 1,500 people on average are forced to sleep outside in the cold. And many of them do not make it. This is not simply an economic problem. This is a moral crisis. So in this moment, I want to think less about what we are supposed to do, although I encourage you to talk to our social justice leaders to learn more about how they can be part of the policy changes that need to happen with this new administration, and more about whom we are supposed to do these things for. When your kin, being in dire straits, comes under your largesse, even if one is tempted to consider them a stranger, let them live with you. The key words in this passage are ach, kin, and ger, stranger. Who do we think of as our kin, and who do we see as a stranger? Rabbi Michael Siegel of Anshe Emet Synagogue, just kind of a mile that way, who represented the Jewish community on stage yesterday, opened his invocation with Psalm 133, Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad, commonly translated as how good it is for brethren to dwell in unity. And it was good to be gathered in that space with people from all over the city, unified in our hope for and our commitment to a better tomorrow. Yet Rabbi Siegel also challenged us to reflect on how we think of the word achim, brethren, siblings, kin. That very same word invoked by Leviticus, your kin, your ach, being in dire straits. And so I want to ask each of you, in this city, who do we see as our neighbor? And perhaps more importantly, who do we see as a stranger? Something I really love about Chicago, and I say this as a non-native Chicagoan, is the distinctiveness and pride found in our neighborhoods. I'm a resident of Boys Town, and I love living in a neighborhood that is just so unapologetically gay. I mean, we have rainbow street signs, We have rainbow crosswalks, we have rainbow banners everywhere. And I love seeing people I know on the street, or at the grocery store, at the gym. And I love the safety that community provides to live openly as both a queer person and a Jew. Yet my story in Chicago actually began on the South Side as a graduate student in Hyde Park, which, and it's very important to acknowledge this, is whiter and more affluent than its surrounding neighborhoods. The legacy of racially restrictive covenants supported actually by the University of Chicago only about 70, 80 years ago. When I moved up to Lakeview, it shocked me to learn that the vast majority of my white neighbors had never ventured south of the South Loop. Our neighborhoods are distinct, but they are also divided in color and in language, in distribution of wealth, in access to resources, in connection to public transportation, and none of this is by happenstance. Our city bears the scars of redlining and racially motivated disinvestment. There are invisible lines that define who we think of as our neighbor, as our kin, and who we consider a stranger. And this perception has very real consequences. Some of you might remember in 2013 when then Mayor Rahm Emanuel announced that to offset a $1 billion deficit in the city budget, his administration would close public schools that had been determined to be, quote, underperforming and under-resourced. There is a painful irony in those two words, because of course schools that were under-resourced were also underperforming. Initially, 330 schools were slated to close. Eventually, that list was whittled down to 54. And of those 54 schools, 88% of the affected students were black, and 71% had mostly black teachers. And while yes, a very, very small minority of students were able to be relocated to better performing schools, the majority found themselves at institutions that were already fighting to support their current students, as the realities of segregation and inequality in this city have kept under-resourced schools geographically bounded, primarily on the west and south sides. And so while the city saved money, our students and teachers continued to struggle. As someone who lived in the city at the time, I'm going to guess that if, like me, you lived on the north side in that moment, those changes didn't feel like much. Yet for these students and parents and teachers and administrators, their lives and their lifelines had been upended. And I want you to imagine, if this did not happen in your neighborhood, what it would be like to have that happen in your neighborhood. I think about Nettlehurst Elementary. If you know it, you know the fence with the little rainbow tassels on it. And what that would be like if that was suddenly shuttered. If that community center with its farmer's market every Saturday was gone. We would be indignant. We wouldn't be able to stop talking about it. I know that I would think of it every single day because that school lies between where I go to the gym, where I go shopping, where I get my coffee, and my home. And I would look up at those darkened windows of what was once a bustling center of my community and wonder what happened and why it happened and if it should have happened. But those school closures, as with so many of the economic ills that plague our city, affected people who live across one of the invisible lines that divide our city. And so their pain and their suffering and their anger often don't feel like our problem. And so here is our challenge. The Torah gives us a blueprint for creating a just society, yet justice is expressed through who we think of as our kin. Who do we feel responsible for? Who would we invite into our homes to live with us? Who would we share our resources with no expectation of recompense? What would it look like to consider all Chicagoans, north and south and west, and yes, as I learned yesterday, there is an east side, as our neighbors, And not just like a theoretical sense of neighborliness, but an immediate like knock on your door and ask for a cup of sugar. Of course, you are invited to my barbecue tomorrow. Do you mind checking on my cat or my plants while I'm gone kind of sense of neighborliness. While the weather might be a bit gloomy outside, I do believe that summer is around the corner, and the summer months give us an opportunity to put this radical reframing into practice, particularly as we flock to our public parks and beaches and the lines between our neighborhoods become just a little blurrier and a little more permeable. But I'm going to challenge all of us to go a bit further, to break down those barriers beyond just our normally shared spaces. Go get dinner or brunch in a neighborhood that you usually don't go to. Find out where you can shop local or eat local or drink local. Connect to folks at Mishkan about where they live, about their favorite spots around the city. Share what you find with your friends. Share it on social media. But more importantly, talk to the people at the table next to you. Get to know the shopkeeper. Ask how long the bartender or the barista or the waiter has been working there, where they grew up, and what they love most about where they live. Don't be a tourist. Be a neighbor. Choose to see in the place of a stranger one of our own, our fellow Chicagoans, our kin. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Stand. I taught a tune the last time we met on Friday night. That is it's a setting for, behold, I accept upon myself the mitzvah of my Creator to love your neighbor as yourself. So repeat after me in case you weren't there. Hareini.
Hareini.
Mikabel.
Mikabel.
Or mikabelet. Alai.
Alai.
Mitzvat haboreh.
Mitzvat haboreh.
Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta.
L'reyecha.
L'reyecha.
Kamocha. All right, so here's how it sounds. Hareini mekabel alai et mitzvat haboreh ve'ahavta l'reyecha kamocha l'reyecha kamocha again. Hareini mekabel alai et mitzvat haboreh et mitzvat haboreh ve'ahavta l'reyecha kamocha ve'ahavta l'reyecha kamocha l'reyecha kamocha. Hareini mekabel alai et mitzvat haboreh ve'ahavta l'reyecha kamocha l'reyecha kamocha l'reyecha kamocha. Hareini mekabel alai et mitzvat haboreh ve'ahavta l'reyecha kamocha l'reyecha kamocha. We turn to 32 and we face east. Alinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמו. 32. ואנחנו ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושבי קרוב השמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו, ושכינתו זו, וגובה מרומי. איי איי איי, הוא אלוהינו, איי איי איי, עמק מלכנו, את בסולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בהשבות אל לבבך. איי איי איי, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים במ במ בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד אין עוד. We're on 33 at the bottom. נאמן בהיד כל המלך על כל העם, חיי ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו So you can take a seat, and if you are saying Mourner's Kaddish tonight, if there's somebody who you're remembering, I invite you to stand. We can go around and hear the names of the folks that you're holding in your heart tonight as we say Mourner's Kaddish. Just go around like this.
All wells.
Yehi zichronam livracha. May all of their memories be blessings. Kaddish Yatom is on 34. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, ba'alma tivrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye techol Beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushpachata v'nechamata tamiran be'alma v'imrum yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'imru oseh shalom v'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May all our memories be blessings. All right, so we do this special thing during the 49 days between Passover and Shavuot. We count the Omer. It's on page 36. And I'll just invite you to say the blessing with me. Anybody who's keeping count know what night it is? Or know what night last night was? That's right. Somebody was listening earlier. Good for you. Good for you. All right. Well, Rabbi Stephen is going to lead us. Anybody who wants to participate in saying the blessing, go ahead and maybe if you want to repeat after Stephen in saying the actual number of days and nights that it is. As we count our way toward Revelation, I invite everybody to stand for this.
It's the bottom, page 36. We're going to say the blessing with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al Sefirat HaYomer. And repeat after me. Hayom.
Hayom.
Shiva. Ushloshim. Yom. Shehem. Chamisha. Shavuot. Ushne. Yamim. LaOmer. Which means tonight is the 37th night of the Omer, which is also equivalent to 5 weeks and 2 days.
All right. Well done. All right. I think we're gonna bless wine and bread, and then we'll open the door to the Mensch Academy, the magical door to the Mensch Academy, which is just that way. And we got some food for people who want to stick around and schmooze. Keep the party going. All right. If anybody wants to join me, Kiddush is on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu b'shabbat kosho v'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom tefillah v'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'otanu kiddashta im kol ha'amim b'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'ratzon kinchalta Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. Oh, it's so pretty and it's pre-sliced and everything.
Say the blessing together.
Baruch atah
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. Amen. How are we going to do this? Take that whole thing and pass it the other way.
Oh, no.
No? I think
Okay.
yes.
Okay, that's great.
Here, no. Take one. And then, Anna, could we get a plate? And then send that way, and then this one can go the other way. Oh, amazing. Rock on. Rock on. All right. Never mind. Too late. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Woo! What should we sing? Want to say Shalom? Yeah. Oh, the moment passed. Next time we'll know. Oh, say Shalom bimroma. Oh, yeah, say Shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ay, ay, ay. Ve'al kol yoshvei